Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of The Perfect Trip. Today we're going to be talking about how you should pick your Disneyland Resort hotel and the questions you should ask yourself before booking anything. Now obviously the answers to these questions are very subjective. I will give you my personal thoughts, but these are questions you should ask yourself and answer for yourself before booking anything. Let's dive in. The first question you should ask yourself is, do I want to walk to the parks or do I want to drive? If you want to drive, then honestly, you kind of have your pick of the litter when it comes to hotels. Because if you're going to drive, it doesn't really matter how close you are. So you can pick anything in the greater Anaheim area and still be 15 or 20 minutes away from the park. So go ahead and book whatever you want using some other questions that I'll get to in the rest of this video. But if you want to walk, then you need to figure out how far you're comfortable walking. And this is actually a pretty big deal. Why? Because after a long day at Disneyland, you have to do this walk, potentially with souvenirs or kids that want you to carry them. It could potentially be quite hot in Anaheim on any given time of the day. So being half a mile versus a full mile, that can actually make a pretty big impact on the comfort level of your trip. So before you book any hotel, know about how far you're cool walking. And remember, you might make this walk multiple times per day. Go into Google Maps, pull up the hotel, pull up Disneyland Esplanade, and then map it out in walking mode. Don't use driving mode because sometimes there are actually easier driving streets than there are walking streets. You can't cross the street anywhere you like on Harbor Boulevard. There's freeway overpasses and things like that. Make sure you are in walk mode. Once you're in walk mode, figure out if you want to be within half a mile or 1 mile, or anything past 1 mile is way too much for me. And honestly, I try to keep it more around half mile, because then you're really only about like a 10-minute walk away from the Esplanade, and I can handle that multiple times per day. This is actually a good segue into the other question you should ask. How do you tour Disneyland? Do you go in the morning and stay till the night without going back and forth? Or are you like me and you like taking a midday break? If you don't take a midday break, then you could potentially stay a little farther away because you're not doing the walk as much, so if it's a little longer, it's no big deal. But if you're going to be going back and forth, maybe you have kids, maybe you make multiple trips, you just need a break during the middle of the day like I always do, then you probably want to be a little bit closer. The next thing you should ask is, what is the purpose of this hotel? Now, that may sound like a weird question, but here's what I mean. Some people look at their hotel as really just a place to store the stuff they've bought and sleep, and then they're never there. Like they're just not in the hotel because they're at Disneyland. In that case, you really don't have to be all too picky. Just find a hotel that's basically clean and within the walking or driving distance that you are most interested in. If, however, your hotel room is more like your sanctuary after a long day at the parks, if you need space for your kids to play on the floor, if you need 1 or 2 bathrooms, if the hotel room is more than a place for you to just sleep and store stuff, then you want to be a little bit more careful. Then ask yourself sub-questions like, how much space do I need? Do I need a separate room for a baby? Do I need 2 bathrooms because we have 4 people? Are people going to be stopping by? All of these are very good questions to ask when you book a hotel room. The things you probably ask when you book a hotel room anywhere else, to be honest. The only thing that's unique about Disneyland is that since you're in the parks for a big chunk of your stay, you're not usually in the hotel room as much as you would be. Another good question to ask is, how do you feel about food? Do you only eat inside the parks while you're at Disneyland? Or do you like to start with breakfast or dinner outside the parks? There's actually a good amount of food near a lot of these hotels that are by Disneyland. So use Google Maps once again to kind of identify what food options are within walking distance of your hotel. Does your hotel have food on property? Do you have fast food nearby? Do you even like fast food? Now, if you only basically eat in the parks, then none of this matters. But if you like to get food before your stay, or if your kids wake up super early and you want breakfast beforehand, then this is another good question to ask. Now, the last question you should ask is probably pretty obvious, and it's, how much are you willing to spend per night? And this is going to be different for everyone. If you have no budget, then you're probably staying at the Grand California or the Disneyland Hotel. And you're probably not even watching this video because money is no object, and those hotels offer all the amenities you could possibly want. Whether it's private access to California Adventure, or monorail access, or being integrated with Disney Springs, the on-site Disney hotels are amazing if you don't mind spending for them. Another cool perk about being in the Disney hotels is that you typically get to enter the parks 1 hour early on any given day. If money is a consideration for you, honestly, it's actually pretty easy to find hotels that are $200 a night or less right on Harbor Boulevard that are an easy walk to the park. So just because you can't drop $600 a night on the Grand Californian does not mean that you can't still find a hotel that's clean, safe, within walking distance, and reasonably priced. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, okay, Tom, well, what are your opinions on all these questions? And I'm happy to tell you. For me, I want to be within half a mile of the Disney parks. I do take midday breaks, and cost is a consideration. My personal pick is the Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott on Harbor Boulevard. I find that it's got easy access to food, whether it's their little Pizza Hut food court or the Panera that's within like 50 steps. It's comfortable, it's cozy. It's an easy walk to the park back and forth, so even though I make that trip a couple times per day, it's actually really quite easy. And in general, I obviously find that it's clean, safe, and it's a Marriott, so I find it reliable and consistent. So that's personally where I stay. I've also stayed at the Grand Californian. I love the Grand Californian. The ambiance is amazing, of course. Now, though, I kind of feel like the price point outweighs the amenities that you get. Yes, early access to the parks, that's nice. The private entrance to California Adventure, that's cool as well. The pool area is amazing, but in general, I just don't find the price worth it at this point anymore. So, long story short, those are the questions you should ask yourself before booking any hotel for your Disneyland trip, and that's my personal opinion of where I stay. If you have a different favorite hotel, please leave it in the comments. If I missed a question, please let me know. I'd be happy to add it in a future video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!